been a long time coming. Welcome to the first episode of Talk the Walk.
There we go.
All right.
Okay.
All right, Shane. So you came from a public school,
Yes,
and now
sir.
you're at a private school.
Mhm.
I've heard you talking bad about all these public school kids and how they differ from the private school kids. How do they differ?
Well, I wouldn't say I talked bad about them. I spoke
I remember distinctly at the cross country meet.
Oh, okay, yeah. yeah. No, the thing with public school kids is it's a whole different environment, right? Public school and private school.
Uh-huh.
So you grow up differently. You learn differently what's right and what's wrong and like what you should do and what you shouldn't do. So I think public school kids are like a lot more open about things and open about what they feel, and that could be disruptive in a way, but it could also be like fun to hang around.
So you would, I like the way I'm interpreting it is like I would say like the people in our grade have like a harder time talking to each other.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
And then because of that, I guess closeness and not openness. I guess you talked about how there's like benefits to the openness, right?
Yeah.
And so they're better at talking with each other.
It's easier
just
to hang
say more
around them.
things. But I guess with our grade, they're more censored. So maybe they're holding their tongue back, or maybe they're just not as used to it.
Or like they don't know.
They don't know. What do they not
like,
know?
We don't think like I mean, our friend group I think we're pretty open and mature and know a lot of like the teenage things.
Really?
or-
I
yeah.
think all those things are unnecessary.
I mean, yeah, it could be unnecessary.
It's a
but
trap.
I think we
Shane, you fell for the
Yeah.
trap.
Well, not by
Maybe
choice.
they're
I
all
was at
just
public school for
maybe
a
they're all
while.
just smarter than you, and that's why.
You know what? That may be Max.
All right, so I don't know if you saw the text card, but it said I'm Max and this is Shane.
Yeah.
And this is the Talk the Walk podcast. Yeah, initially we had the name of the podcast being Walk the Talk, which sounds awesome and inspired by the late 2018 single Walk It Like I Talk It by Migos.
Yep.
That's a good one, but we decided we wanted to make it more God-centered. And we named it Talk the Walk.
Talk the Walk.
Last
That's a cool
minute,
change.
actually yesterday. This podcast has been a long time coming. 2 weeks.
2 weeks of planning.
2 weeks of planning.
A lot of FaceTime calls.
Lots of FaceTime calls. As if we were dating.
Yep.
I won't say that again because there's going to be so many FaceTime calls after this.
Yep.
It's hot in here, by the way. Yeah, all right. Shane, do you want to jump into your first question?
Okay, yeah. So, you mentioned earlier how I was at a public school before a private school
Uh-huh.
and how what I feel about that. But Max, if like you were given the shot to be at a public school as opposed to where you are now at Trinity, based on like what you've heard about it or what I've spoken about it, would you transition to a public school, or do you think you're better where you're at and would you stay at like a hybrid school that's Trinity?
Yeah, right now, if I were to switch, it would be pretty horrendous because like I'm already 2 years in.
Okay.
And then like it'd be really hard to transfer everything. So that would be really stupid.
Let's say then, would you rather start off at a public school than start off at Trinity?
Okay. I would say at the beginning of 9th grade, I would have rather been at a public school.
Okay.
But I would say since we go to a Christian school as well, I would say over the summer, I developed in my faith a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
And so coming into this school year, I was, rather than like in the past, just like hearing about Bible stuff in school, I was just kind of like not really fazed by it. Now I'm just like really learning a lot in school.
Okay.
And then like it's basically just like church at school, which is pretty awesome if you're really trying to move towards that direction of just like being stronger in your faith. Yeah, I think I'm pretty happy where I am, but I guess it's more specific to like a Christian and private school. I don't think there's necessarily that many benefits to private school besides just like, I don't want to say, what would you say the difference between a private and, well, I guess you've never been to a regular private school that's not Christian.
I'd say, just from what I've heard, the education is definitely overall better, and you learn more. at a
Okay.
private school than at a
Do
public
you want to
school.
describe your public school education? Was it just really easy?
Yeah, I didn't have to try at anything, man.
Okay.
I didn't study for quizzes.
Making
study-
hundreds?
Yeah, making A's. I didn't study. The papers I could like write it last minute the night before for like 30 minutes, end up getting a 95 on it or 100.
How long were the papers?
Like a page, and
Okay.
you would write it. You wouldn't type it. You'd write it.
Yeah, I
So,
heard there's not many papers throughout the year. Shane, how do
well-
you like a paper a week?
Well, it's fine.
It's fine.
I like to take initiative on these papers and
Okay.
sort of start when I'm meant to start. And follow the guidelines. That the
Okay,
teacher
you
give us.
gained more discipline after you
Yeah.
joined a private school, or you just matured, or did it
I've
help you
always had.
mature?
I mean, I've always had the discipline. I just didn't need to use it, sort of, at a public school.
Okay. Yeah. So actually, we don't just go to a private and Christian school. We go to a university model school.
Hybrid school.
Yeah, hybrid school. So basically, what that means is we go to school on Monday and Wednesdays, and then Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Today is a Friday. We have homework. Basically, just school days at home. They're completely loaded days. Like it's pretty loaded. You could have 10-hour days for sure.
Oh yeah.
You
All
could.
depends on the person.
All depends on the teacher.
Yeah.
But like on average per subject, you spend like an hour and a half, 2 hours. There's like 5 subjects. Yeah, it really depends on the day.
Yeah.
Like this
This
week,
week was, I think, was pretty easy.
it was pretty easy.
I was able
I
to
had a
get
math
my-
test today.
Oh, really? Okay.
It wasn't that chill.
Okay.
So basically what it allows us to do is like do things like this. Today we're doing a doubleheader podcast. And basically we just blocked out 3 hours where like we fit it into our schedule, and we're going to be working. We worked a ton before this, and we're going to be working a ton after this. But we really get to make our schedules on Tuesday, Thursdays, and Fridays. There's lots of different sports and programs that they organize for us that we can go to, but usually they're optional. Like yesterday, there was a pretty cool visiting professor. I think his name was Joshua Moore.
Okay.
Bro, he said he worked with Snoop Dogg.
Really?
He said, do you know who Casey Musgraves is?
I don't.
He
Should I?
said he met Lil Wayne when he was 13.
Yeah, I know little.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah, how was it? Was that a good experience? Did
You know, he talked about passion and discipline a lot. I would agree largely that you need passion and discipline, but I think for me, I slightly disagree in the sense that, like, for me, my only drive, I feel like he talked about how you should have like 50% discipline and 50% passion, which is like an interesting idea, but I think that's kind of impossible. But then for me, what I've found is the best way to go is just like have 100%, I guess, like drawing or like thirst for God, and just run 100% that way. And I would say like all the priorities line up correctly in terms of like discipline, and like I would say there's no better passion or like thirst than for God. So you just like run that way. And I would say everything just kind of happens nicely. God first is a very good priority system, and it always works out. Yeah. But Shane, on the other hand, was babysitting his sister.
Yep.
How was that?
It was fine.
I don't care.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't really have a good response to that anyway. So.
Okay. Shane, do you want to hit us with your second question?
Yeah. So this first episode, we want to sort of get the audience to know ourselves. So I want to ask you. This is a bit of a personal question.
A personal question.
So just talk to us about sort of a high and low moment of your life.
High and low moment of my
life. It could
life.
be recent. It could be
Gosh.
something you remember from a while ago. you know?
Okay. I'll start off with the low. This will surprise you, Shane.
Okay.
So actually, at the beginning of this past summer, so 2021 summer, my good friends all went to a trip to the Grand Canyon. Yeah.
Oh.
And so, honestly, my mom just didn't want me to go. She was like, it's not a good idea for you.
Okay.
She wanted me to, I guess, just like, I don't know. She just didn't think it was good for me.
Motherly instinct.
Yeah, I guess so. She just didn't like the vibe. But I was kind of depressed the first day. I was like, oh, shoot. They're all just hanging out.
I'll tell you what, though. That first day was the worst.
Really?
Yeah, it wasn't good.
Yeah, but then that same first day, I also went fishing with a friend.
Okay.
So I was having fun, but I was also slightly depressed.
All right.
I was seeing the Instagram stories, and I was like, oh, shoot. This kind of sucks.
I think I did the Instagram story.
Yeah, and so that was a low, but I would say be out of that super low time, I started like to try to, I guess, be more disciplined. Like I started making schedules, and I guess just like doing Google Calendar and like making myself do things for an hour a day that I really needed to be doing. I started grinding SATs, and I would say through that really low point started this like amazing spiral of like upward motion, in the sense that like, yeah, but then I was also moving in the wrong direction at the same time, because I was just like running after the world. Like I was like DMing like really, I guess, successful people, and then I was getting responses, which was pretty dope.
Yeah.
And I was getting like trying to get internships. But then it landed at this one internship. It was kind of an internship. It was just a job to like be a videographer for this pretty famous comedian. I don't know. His name's Andrew Schultz. And I was talking to his videographer, and he said, I can come and join the team. Well, not join the team, just like help film a set. He was touring in Houston.
Yeah.
And then like we went through all of it, and basically I was it's like on the track to, I guess, maybe some sort of success in the world. And then like over the next few weeks, like I started becoming more involved in church, or I guess like my pastor was just kind of pushing me. And then I started going the opposite way. And then, by the way, whenever I was running towards, I guess, doing worldly things, I was kind of depressed also. But like, I was like, this is going to go somewhere. But there was like, I guess, a sense of emptiness. But then I started, I guess, running towards God, or like seeing the difference it made. Because like, I was no longer, I guess, feeling any kind of emptiness, or like something was missing. Um, yeah, and then I just kept going that way, and I realized that going, I guess, running towards the world and having like worldly priorities wasn't worth it.
Okay.
And I thought it, it really helped me. And that low point, I guess, was the key turning point. Even though it like pushed me in the wrong direction, that wrong direction ended up pointing me in the right direction, and really realizing how much it was important to be in the right direction. Um, and then I guess the catalyst of that initial situation with Andrew Schultz, videographer, was that at the end of the summer, I DM'd him again because I set up, like we talked about, there being an event at the end of the summer, at the beginning of the summer.
Yeah.
And then I DM'd him about about that event at the end of the summer that I was supposed to do. And then he left me on scene.
Oh, so.
Yeah. Okay. And then, I was like, why would this happen? Cause like we had tons of texts,
Yeah.
tons of text streams. And then I checked, his story, and then I see them coming out of private jet. And I was like, oh, they got clout over the summer. They don't need me anymore.
Okay.
They don't even need free intern help anymore. So, but then I didn't care, which was the weird part.
Because you were already going in the other
Yeah,
direction.
I didn't want that anymore. And that was a massive realization for me, because I'd found something that was more important. I'm just checking if we're still recording. Okay, we're still recording.
Got
Something more important, which was, I guess, God. And I guess we'll get into, like, I guess, the transformations that God can allow you to have later in future podcasts. But I'll just say that low moment was a major turning point.
All right.
Yeah. And then a high? I talked for a while. Okay.
Okay.
What is the high? Honestly, my high. I would say my high was on the plane back from Hawaii when I realized that.
Yeah. So
That-
like in the
Yeah.
found the high through the low.
Yeah,
Okay.
that because I DM'd the guy the same day, and then after I DM'd him, I realized on like the plane that I didn't really care anymore. And then I heard this song called "No Doubt About It," and it says like, "There's no doubt about it, I'm on my way home, but I'm not yet where I'm going, but I'm a long way from where I was." And I was like, oh, I think very differently now, and I see that I'm going towards the right direction now. And I would say just like running towards, yeah, it was just the realization that I'd completely changed over the summer, or like just
Okay.
changed my motives during the summer.
All right.
Yeah.
That's very cool. High and low.
Yeah. All right.
Alrighty. Now,
Okay.
You got anything for me, Max?
Do I have anything for you? All right, Shane.
Yeah.
Honestly, do you like the school you're at right now
Trinity?
versus public school?
Um.
You got to think about what it's going to do for you in the long run,
Yeah.
what it's doing to you at the present.
Yeah. I like Trinity.
You do.
I do.
All right.
I wasn't anticipating me liking Trinity.
Uh-huh.
I thought I was really gonna hate it. Like over the summer leading from 7th to 8th grade, which was the year I went to Trinity, most of that summer was like just sadness. That was a low. That was probably one of my lows. Was like, man, this is gonna suck.
The next 5 years of my life.
Because
learning
I
Latin.
knew going to Trinity, like my parents wanted me to stay there till like the end of high school, so I knew like I'm stuck here. There's no changing it. Nothing I can say about it. So yeah, it was a rough summer. But once I got to Trinity, the first couple of weeks, they weren't as bad as I thought, but they weren't that great either. That's just because I didn't know anyone at the time.
Yeah.
And I
That
getting
was
used-
8th grade, by the way.
8th grade, yeah. And I was getting used to the education, which I thought I would do a lot worse at. The
Okay.
education part of it. I was actually
Big brain.
I was actually getting some A's during that class,
Some A's.
or during the school year. I was doing a lot better than I thought I'd do. And then once I sort of got to know like the group of guys that we had there,
I didn't really talk to you in 8th grade.
not really. No, you
I
didn't.
was simping hard.
More we talked. You and
Oh,
I sort of
shoot.
met.
Okay.
You and I sort of talked more over the summer, during our Fortnite stage.
Oh,
When that was
yes, when I
popular.
was addicted.
Yeah, we were. That was our whole summer. Was just Fortnite.
Hey, don't do that
You,
to me.
Braxton Hudson, and I. Yeah. I know the game's bad now, but I actually kind of enjoyed that summer. I thought that was enjoyable.
Okay.
So yeah, once I started to know, the group of guys we have at Trinity, and I started to talk to y'all, hang out.
We're sophomores.
Yeah, we're sophomores now. I realized like this isn't that bad. I started to enjoy myself when we hung out. Again, I was good at the education, so it wasn't like I was struggling at it. I was good at making a schedule during the home days that we have.
Don't we have a schedule?
What?
Don't we have a schedule?
Well, on the school days we have a schedule. On the home days you can kind of do anything you want.
But like, you kind of have a schedule. A to-do list. Okay.
You have a to-do list, but like my
Okay.
schedule is like when I do it. Or,
Okay.
Like, can I?
Okay.
What work I can do on Monday?
Yeah.
What work I can do on Wednesday?
Okay.
So once I had all that figured out, it became easier than public school, kind of to me. Well, no, that's a lie. I don't know why. No, public school is so easy. It became easier than I would ever have thought it would be. I'll say that.
Okay.
So yeah, I
So
enjoy
you thought
where
it,
I'm at.
but maybe your expectations for how hard it would be were just like ridiculously hard.
It was mostly my dad. My dad was going in like, it's okay if you get D's and C's. I'll still love you. It's just a transition. We'll get through this. Like,
But
he
you
was
better
like,
transition to A's.
yeah, no, that's exactly what he said. He's like, the first quarter, second quarter, it's okay if you get D's and C's, but so you better start getting
By high
A's
school.
that third, fourth quarter by high school. You better be like an all-A student. So like, and he loves me. I'm not saying he's like bad. Like, this is all like coming from like a loving father. So I think the pressure like he put on me kind of made it rough. But he was just as shocked as I was with
You
how
doing
it turned
okay?
out. Yeah.
Yeah. School is kind of tough right now.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I think the problem with school now isn't, and I say this a lot, but it isn't the material. It's how much material we have. The
I
material
mean,
itself, I don't think is that
the
difficult.
comprehension of the material sometimes, no, it comes kind of quickly. It's
Yeah.
just, I mean, you're talking about biology probably.
Biology. I mean, yeah.
Like just so much material. Mrs. Stearns, you're great, but so much material.
I don't think Mrs. Stearns is gonna watch
I
this.
don't think
you have
Mrs.
to-
Stearns is gonna watch
I
this
don't
either.
even think she knows how to use YouTube or something.
I think, of course, she does.
Oh yeah, she plays like science videos for us.
Okay. Yeah. So overall, the experience has been better than you thought.
Better than I
Expectations
thought.
were super high,
Expectations were super low.
super low, but difficulty level super high.
Yeah.
Exceeded it. Is it better than public school? Better
It's-
than your previous school?
You can't. I don't think you can compare it.
Really?
They're so different, Max.
Oh, okay.
They're incredible.
Oh, so you're not saying one is way better than the other, just different benefits.
They're different.
It's like comparing Kung Fu Panda 2 and Cars 2.
Yeah,
Very
both
different,
both
but
amazing.
very amazing.
Both amazing.
Yeah, I think if I had to recommend one or the other, I don't even know.
Kung Fu Panda 2 for me.
Okay. That's a hard
It's-
question, but
it's
that's
very- it's a
for
very
another
easy-
podcast.
Very easy pick.
Very
Kung Fu
All
Panda.
right, let's get back on
Okay.
topic.
But yeah,
Um,
it's like you were saying, there are different benefits for public school, private school. Private school education, you learn more, and at the private school we're at, you get closer to God. Public school, you gain a bunch
Private
of social
Christian school.
skills there.
Oh, okay.
You like if I were to start out at Trinity, I wouldn't be nearly as social as I was like.
Okay,
today. I probably wouldn't even be wanting to do this podcast.
Really?
Yeah.
Shane, I have a question. I think it's not really a matter of public school, the private school, or the school we go to's fault in terms of socialness. I think it's more like the individual's fault. Because all you have to do is put yourself out there.
Yeah, but the school doesn't give you that many opportunities to be social. Like,
Well, that's
public school gave you the opportunities. Like, oh hey, here's a football game you can go to. Here's a dance. Here's a meet and greet.
Yeah.
Here's an opportunity to hang out with your friends. You have a off period where you guys can just hang out.
Yeah.
Here it's like just education, 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 and then like a mix of like these events, but they're like seminar events. So like you don't really
Okay.
have time to like hang out.
Yeah, I guess my rebuttal to that would be like, you get to make your own schedule.
Yeah, on the
Um,
home days.
And hopefully you have other places you go where you can meet people.
Yeah.
And those can be your friends that you see also. But you can also see the friends that you meet at school outside of school all the time.
Yeah.
But I will say most of the meeting up is studying together.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it's meant to be.
I would say like
Sometimes it turns
less
into-
efficient studying whenever I
Sure.
study with other
That's
people,
that's a good way of
specifically
putting it.
these people. Um, yeah. So to wrap it up, I would say, man, we're at 20 minutes. Holy.
All right.
Okay.
That
Yeah.
went by
To wrap
fast.
it up, I would say, Shane, I'm very glad you entered our friend group
I
in
appreciate
eighth
that,
grade.
Lance. Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't be filming this podcast if you didn't join eighth grade. Um, I would say this podcast, I guess to wrap it up, we'll talk about, I guess, where this podcast is going
Okay.
since it's the first episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it.
I'm too.
Like filming this podcast now, like
I'm having a blast.
I'm
I know we're just sitting here like talking, but like to me, I've
I thought
enjoyed
it would be
doing
so
this.
awkward.
No, this is flowing very well.
It's flowing very well.
I mean, we have to rewatch it, of course. I feel as if this is going well.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm really excited for the podcast. I would say like my relationship with Shane has gotten stronger, but like I would say it's been more based around God, which is really cool.
Which is a good
Obviously, we
relationship,
didn't really talk about faith that much in this podcast. That will be a future topic,
Yeah,
but
that will
hopefully
come.
we tied it in enough. I want to like I guess clarify that that's really the focus of the podcast. It's called Talk the Walk in the sense that like we're talking about our walk, which
faith.
yeah, and then our
Yeah.
our daily life. So our life should be intertwined with Jesus. And so if we're talking about our life, there'll just be like so many things that are founded on Jesus, and hopefully we can bring it back to that. And that's pretty much the point, or the reasoning
The
for the title of
roadmap.
the podcast. But then it also keeps our intentions correct. I would say initially we had the title "Walk the Talk," which doesn't really put God number one.
Yeah.
But
it
I would
flowed well, but it
yeah,
wasn't-
it sounded nice,
it just
but
didn't
like
really match up with. what
yeah,
we're trying
it
to
was
do
supposed to
here.
like mean don't be a hypocrite, but it's kind of lame. But like now we see the title of the podcast, and like we'll always just come back to
Makes
that
sense.
because we're just thinking, oh yeah, that's the priority, that's number one. So that's the title.
Yeah.
But in terms of the podcast, yeah, we're gonna have a bunch of different friends on. We're gonna have, I mean, I talked to Alessandro, we talked to Braxton,
Braxton.
maybe Owen.
We'll have Jacob and Sam.
We'll have Jacob and Sam.
in
Jacob
about
and Sam.
30.
What time is it?
It's 2.
Okay,
about
so
30 minutes.
Yeah, like 30 minutes. Yeah, we got some pretty dope topics coming up. Hopefully, we can even bring some adults to create some
For
cool
sure.
dynamic. Maybe Mr. No, just kidding.
Dude, my dad would. That'd be an interesting one.
All right, maybe. Mr. No, Mr. Okay, never mind. I think you knew who I was talking
Yeah.
about, but it's okay. Yeah, we got some cool guests, and hopefully we can, I guess. What would you say your intention with this podcast is?
You kind of were spot on with what you were saying. But I think I also want to reach out to people who like sort of need to hear what we have to talk about. Hear the
Yeah.
message
Hopefully, we say things that are worth hearing about.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the goal, at least.
Mhm.
Whether or not we do or don't, it's kind of our fault. But I think we definitely can, and we
Okay.
can
Yeah,
kind of
maybe by
reach to people
podcast
that we
50,
need.
we'll have a set,
Yeah.
very watchable show. Honestly, I have one more question.
Yeah.
You didn't really answer it. Do you in it? We're back in it, baby.
All right.
The camera just cut out. Yeah. Would you rather be, I guess, in this like university model school, or I guess in a regular everyday school? So not necessarily comparing the private and the public, but just like the everyday versus 2
Yeah.
days a week.
It's better. See, this is I haven't
You
thought
get to
of this.
spend more time with your parents,
Yeah, that's the important thing.
learn about their
Yeah.
values.
I'd say I do prefer this sort
Really?
of university method.
Awesome.
It gives me more of an opportunity to create my own schedule, to have more freedom, which will help me in college, which is the important thing.
Yes. University model kind of means like in college, you're not going to school every day. Hopefully, if you like set your classes up correctly. And yeah, so it's as if we're going to college twice a week.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I obviously like public school would probably be more fun.
Yeah.
But fun isn't the goal, I think, at this point in life.
But you might not be doing this podcast if you were going to public school. I would say like we were talking about this yesterday at the what's it called, the visiting professor thing, and he was talking about like careers and stuff, and like maybe even possibly like creative careers, but then like lawyers can be creative in terms of like different ways and solutions. So like every job is kind of creative, but like we were mainly talking about careers, and I would say Trinity, I guess, fosters the ability to create a career. Like
Yeah.
there's not really time, or I guess it's not really a priority for kids, like what they're doing after, I guess, high school, or they don't really think they can start it at the moment. They think, oh, after college or during college, I'll do that. But I guess in Trinity, there's just more of a mindset that you can do things now. I don't know. That's what I think.
No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, or maybe you just have more time to do the things that you want to do, or you have the ability to fit it in with your schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I know some people we know, they just like grind it out on Tuesday so that they have a free weekend.
Which, I mean, if that's how you want to do it,
That's extremely hard. That would be like a 20-hour day,
Yeah.
but if you want to knock out a Thursday or a
Yep.
Friday.
That's your thing, go for it.
Yeah. All right. Well, this has been the first episode of Talk the Walk. It's honestly been pretty fire. I hope the podcasts get better, but this is a pretty good place to start.
Yeah.